Hi there, I'm Travis Guillory, and welcome to the very first virtual Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala. Now, I know this year's event looks a little bit different, but we're so proud to team up with our friends over at Retrospect Films to bring you this amazing event in a whole new way. For the past 44 years, Up With Trees has partnered with the Tulsa community, identifying community needs and working towards solutions to these problems. Trees are our solution. Our projects connect people from all walks of life to work together in transforming the health and the look of their home. They engage outdoor learning environments for schools with limited resources and students that struggle to understand concepts of science, math, art, and stewardship. They provide access to fresh fruit and nuts for those who can't afford it. They increase the shade and the walkability of downtown, clean our water and airways, and they decrease rates of heart and lung disease. By planting and caring for the trees in Tulsa, we've seen these impacts firsthand. Thank you for joining our mission and for sponsoring Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala today and providing a more beautiful future tomorrow.
There's no question that the beauty of your surroundings has an impact on you, your mood, your happiness as you go through the day. And that's one of the things that we've been really fortunate with here in Tulsa, both in the natural environment and the built environments. And one of the things that at the city of Tulsa today, we take very strongly is we don't want to be thought of as America's most beautiful city. That being something we talk about as something we were in the past. That's something we, the current generation of Tulsans, deserves to think of themselves today. And so that's why you see really big investments being made in the natural environment here in Tulsa. One of the things that stands out about Tulsa to other people around the state, and I found this out because my wife's not from Tulsa, were all the Up With Trees signs. And the fact that we were a city that really valued trees, which again, as a Tulsan seems so natural, but for people outside of our city looking here, it's something special to them that we're a city that places so much value on something that you don't get immediate gratification from. We live in a world where so much is disposable and transitory, but when it comes to our trees in Tulsa, I think, the greatest conservation achievement in the history of our city is Sid Patterson, a former city commissioner, creating Up With Trees. You think about the thousands of trees that have been planted as a result of that program and the benefit that that's going to provide for Tulsans for hundreds of years. There are few things that we can do today that have such long-term benefits as growing the urban forests that we have here in Tulsa, making an investment today that really helps pay off decades from now and even centuries into the future.
Wow, what a great message there from Mayor G.T. Bynum. And it's so great that Up With Trees not only has the support of people like Mayor G.T. Bynum, but also the support of hundreds of volunteers in the community helping to make Up With Trees' vision come to life. One of those volunteers, Mr. Jim Costas, and you've been here since the beginning, right? How did you get involved with Up With Trees?
Well, I was in Rotary, in downtown Rotary with Sid Patterson. Then when I retired in 1988, he stopped me one day and asked me, would you like to come out and plant some trees with me? So on this January morning, cold day, I said, yes, I would. So we went out there on Harvard and we started digging. And if you remember, in those days, the ground was solid as a rock. And every time I put the pick down and then shovel out the dirt, I said to myself, what did I get myself into? I said, God, this is torture. Well, I said, for Sid's sakes, I'll keep it up. So we finished planting about 20 trees. When it was over, I looked down there, and it was the greatest sight I ever saw. That sold me on it. It was beautiful. So that was the start with Up With Trees.
So when you look at, how hard and grueling it was that first time for you, why did you stick around for decades with this organization?
Well, it's the satisfaction. Not only the satisfaction you receive, but the people you work with. And when you work with Sid Patterson, working with a person like him, it became a pleasure. And I think that's what I enjoyed, the outdoors, planting trees, beautifying the city of Tulsa, and also working with a wonderful person like Sid.
And that's a perfect segue into my next question. You know, from that first tree that you helped Sid plant, looking at the growth of this organization, what would Sid think of where we are today from that first tree that you two planted together?
Oh, it is amazing. It is amazing. I can't help it. My wife and I, we can't help it. Every time we look out the window, we're looking at, you know, that side over there, because we know we planted those trees, and we're always looking and see what condition they are, because we take pride. We planted them. We were involved in pruning, planting them, watering them, and it becomes personal. And when something becomes personal, then you take more interest in it. And that's why I continuously want to be involved with them, because it's something that I have given my retired life to, and I want to make sure it continues on.
All right, Jim, well, thank you so much for talking to us and for all the work that you've done with Up With Trees. I mean, it really takes an army of people to do something like this, and you were one of the original soldiers that was there. If you want to do that as well, you want to help with this organization and be a part of this community, go to upwithtrees.org, and who knows, you might be the next Jim Costas doing this for 40 plus years. So head over to upwithtrees.org, and you can be a part of this entire community of folks.
Thank you for tuning in to the virtual Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala. The work we do could not be possible without the generous support of volunteers like you. Don't forget to like and share this video with 5 of your friends. Up With Trees, providing a more beautiful future today.
Seeing trees, it almost gives a signal to people. Someone loves here. Someone enjoys being here. When you see something growing, you then believe that you can grow there too.
For me, it's just a quality, especially during hot summers, that people are motivated to walk along our river parks, which are densely populated in big, huge shade trees. Those trees obviously provide a level of temperature difference for them to have an enjoyable experience along the river where perhaps they couldn't have.
If trees are present, if they're healthy, if they're maintained, then I think that signals that this is a place that people are actively visiting, actively taken care of.
And I think it's one of those things where whenever you add trees to a space, nobody technically owns the tree. It's ours, it's the community's, and so we get the chance to connect with somebody you might not have had the chance to meet with before.
It's really important for us to provide opportunities for children to be in nature and connect with nature.
Trees can impact learning very directly when we as educators incorporate the outdoors and trees into our classrooms.
Up With Trees did that for our school. They do that for Tulsa throughout the community. So I think the work they're doing is really important for the quality of life that we experience as Tulsans.
So just being out in nature, sitting where you and I are sitting now, it's a great spot. In making spots like this and making places like this, that's what we strive to do.
Wow, what an incredible message there from some of the many supporters that helped to bring this organization to life. And, having all these supporters and all these volunteers really takes somebody who's passionate about trees to be at the helm. Joining me right now, Tom Wallace, board president currently for Up With Trees. So before we get into talking about the organization, I just want to talk about trees in general, which you know a thing or two about.
Okay.
You know a thing or two about. So what have you learned, being on the board for so many years and now being the board president, what have you learned about the benefits of trees and what they add to our community?
Of course, everybody talks about the benefits of trees in terms of making oxygen. We need to have oxygen to live, and they absorb CO2. One of the things that interested me about trees, I have an office in downtown Tulsa, and I noticed several years ago they were cutting down a bunch of the old trees that were planted 25 years or so before that and not replacing them. Started doing a little bit of research, and I determined that not only are trees good for shade and for CO2 and oxygen, but they're also good for the economy.
And so we were kind of been talking about the big picture of trees and what they add to our community. How does Up With Trees factor into that? And how does the vision of Up With Trees make what you're talking about happen? What does the organization do?
Well, the organization promotes a beautiful city by promoting planting and maintaining trees.
Yeah, and why are you so passionate about this organization? Why have you been a board member for so many years? Why are you the board president? Why do you care about this organization?
Ever since I was a young adult, I took a lot of joy out of planting trees. You know, there's I think a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time to plant a tree is now.
So, I mean, what's the vision here? Looking at the big picture, what's the vision for Tulsa, for our area, having Up With Trees help to bring that mission and that vision to fruition? What's the big picture here, long term?
Well, I think the big picture is to have a successful urban forest, as we call it. If you have a more beautiful city, people will come and stay here. And, you know, we all want to keep our children and our grandchildren here. We don't want them going off to other places. And a city that is really attractive to live in and getting better and better all the time, then I think we've got a good shot at being a successful city in the future. And I think Up With Trees is a big part of that.
All right, Tom, well, thank you so much for taking time with us today. And if you would want to get involved, a very easy way to do that is to like and share this video with 5 of your friends so that way we can continue the mission of Up With Trees and what we've been sitting here talking about today.
Thank you for tuning in to the virtual Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala. Up With Trees invites you to support our community by volunteering in the revitalization efforts and participating in the strategic planting of trees in our beautiful urban forest. To find out how you can donate or volunteer, visit upwithtrees.org. Up With Trees, providing a more beautiful future today.
I think trees instill a sense of ownership in kids. When you're in elementary school or even preschool, you get a little pot and you put your seed in there, you water it, check the progress of it, and as soon as you see the smallest sprout, you're all excited about it, that's yours.
I am confident that we can cover all of the objectives that we do inside the classroom, outside the classroom, and hopefully without all the two-dimensional paperwork that seems to really be a trigger for a lot of kids.
Across the state, school districts are seeking resources to provide students with the opportunity to learn in an outdoor environment. The state's highway authorities wish to beautify major roadways as a means of attracting more people who want to raise their families here and more businesses that are considering to operate within Oklahoma. Green Country is our home. We'll always be dedicated to furthering the health and the impact of our urban forest in Tulsa. And we're so proud to continue the efforts of the Urban Forest Master Plan here in our wonderful city. Welcome back, everybody. So I'm joined now by Steve Grantham, Executive Director of Up With Trees. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
This is kind of your deal. You kind of have to be here, don't you? So you've been with Up With Trees for a while. You said 12 years?
Yes.
All right, so you kind of know the ins and the outs of how Up With Trees works. Talk to us about where Up With Trees came from and how it's grown to where we are right now in 2020.
Sure. So I went to meet with a donor a few years back and talking to them about some of the things that we were doing, and they said, wow, we had no idea. We thought you only planted 20 trees at a time on the side of the highway. And I said, well, we still do that. And that's how we started, planting 20 trees on the side of the highway to make Tulsa's freeways treeways is what our slogan was then. We decided that we could do a lot more, that people wanted a lot more. And so we started a process to create an urban forest master plan for the city. We rolled that out, and really to take a much larger view of the city and be very systematic in how we approached it. We wanted to have more of an impact, but we knew we would have to be more effective and more efficient to have that impact.
So why should Up With Trees continue its work? Why don't you guys just say, oh, we got all the trees we need, we're good, goodbye? Why is it important to continue driving that mission forward?
Sure. So as part of that master plan, one of the benchmarks was to grow the canopy percentage. If we're looking from a Google Earth level, what area is covered by trees? And right now it's 26%. Our 20-year goal is 30%. And so why do we need to keep going? Well, that's over 300,000 trees to be planted over the next couple decades. We're not going to do all of that, but we want to do our part, and we want to be able to do that in those public areas that people know that that's where we excel.
What does that do? What does extending that canopy do, especially in major cities like Tulsa that, you have tall buildings, you have highways? What does extending that canopy do for cities like Tulsa?
Sure. So, we're protecting air quality, water quality, but also from, an economic standpoint, creating walkable environments, parks, green spaces, getting people out where they have a chance to interact with people from all over the city, and in fact, with some of our parks in town, all over the world.
For folks that want that, they want to be a part of that community, they want to be a part of Up With Trees, what are the ways that they can get involved in and help you meet those goals that are in your urban forest master plan?
Sure. So planting is certainly a way that people can get involved. Those signs that sometimes we're more known for our signs than our trees, people can help make those. We make those in-house, but also our outreach and advocacy, helping to inform people and educate them how they can talk to their neighborhood associations, their elected officials, in keeping trees and green space and just really a sustainable Tulsa front of mind.
Absolutely. Once again, Steve Grantham, Executive Director of Up With Trees. Congratulations on the work that you've done, and best of luck with all the work that you have ahead of you. Absolutely. And of course, if you want to be a part of Up With Trees, all the things that we've been talking about, head over to upwithtrees.org to find out how you can be a part of that. Give your, monetary dollars or donate your time, which is honestly the best gift that you can give.
Thank you for tuning in to the virtual Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala. Because of your charitable donations, Tulsa's urban forest continues to grow as we look to establish 30% tree canopy coverage. To find out how you can donate or volunteer, visit upwithtrees.org. Up With Trees, providing a more beautiful future today.
When I think of a tree, I think of something that's huge. I think of something that towers above us, a space for animals.
I can remember as a little girl, my dad planting trees. I've gone back and looked, and those trees are huge.
Trees are where you gather. Trees offer shade. Trees offer shelter.
I often think about what would Tulsa look like, what would it feel like, what would it be if Sid had not started Up With Trees.
The purpose of Up With Trees was so clear in my mind. What we're trying to do is to improve the environment in Tulsa by planting trees.
What you have with Up With Trees is a track record of success. They've been planting trees, they continue to plant trees, they have partnerships with the city of Tulsa, the city of Jinx, and other surrounding communities.
For the people who volunteer and donate, they're doing it because they know that it's making an impact, and it's making a direct impact, and I think that's something you don't always see.
That's one of the neat things about Up With Trees and planting trees. You don't have to give a fortune to make a huge impact.
And seeing the trees as we drive down Riverside or drive 169, I enjoy reading the signs and to see who we're remembering, who we're honoring.
I believe in this organization because of the difference I've seen it make in beautification, in aesthetic enhancement, quality of life.
I've been in Tulsa since 1975, and this is my way of giving back to Tulsa. And this is an example of what interested human beings can do in improving a community.
It's our job now to teach the future generation how important trees are and why planting now is going to benefit them in the long run.
And you're giving today, that helps us carry forward that planting and the maintenance on the nearly 33,000 trees that we take care of in the greater Tulsa area.
And joining me now is Chris Schrout, City Manager of the City of Jinx. Thanks for coming in for us today.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about trees, talking about all things trees, and I'm told you love trees.
I do love trees.
Why
that
do you
is
love
true.
trees?
I love trees because they get big. And I think the most impressive thing is you can plant a sapling that literally is about as big as your finger, your pinky finger, and then it'll be in 20, 30 years, 60, 80, 100 feet tall. They bring nature to the human space. And so you think about humans, we go try to live near water, want to live in the mountains, and it's really kind of, I think as humans, we seek out nature, and trees are one of the easiest ways to kind of reconnect with nature.
Yeah, and I mean, a great way to do that is to get involved with an organization like Up With Trees. And so what draws you as a city manager of a sizable city, what draws you to Up With Trees?
Probably the credibility that Up With Trees brings to our tree program. So, you know, if we were out planting trees and budgeting money for a tree program, that'd be one thing, but having Up With Trees as a partner really brings quite a bit of credibility. They've been, you know, planting trees, educating the public for, you know, over 40 years, and when they come and they do a planting, everyone knows that they're going to maintain them for 3 years, they guarantee them for 3 years, and so the credibility that Up With Trees brings to the city of Jinx is priceless.
Yeah, and I mean, what else has Up With Trees brought to the city of Jinx? I mean, what impacts have you seen within the city because of the efforts of Up With Trees?
Just volunteer opportunities, frankly. I think that, you know, right now, especially with COVID, people are looking for a sense of community, and when Up With Trees has an event and they invite volunteers to come, those volunteers meet other volunteers and feel like they're in a sense of community with other people that have the same values that they do.
So what's the long-term vision for future generations, and how do trees and landscaping, how does that play a part in that long-term vision?
I think going back to the beginning, bringing nature to the urban landscape is really important. It's important for our mental health. It's important, it recalibrates us. Everyone really does want to live on a tree-lined block that's shady, and, you know, one of the most beautiful streets, I think, in all of the Tulsa metro area is, I think, South Trenton, just off of Cherry Street, and it has these towering sycamores, and, you know, I think that does a lot for the walkability. It does a lot for the property values, and frankly, that's a place that I want to go walk, and I want the city of Jinx, I know our council does, and all of our citizens want the city of Jinx to have that feel where you want to get out, you want to walk around, and you want to enjoy a piece of nature.
All right, Chris, well, thank you so much for coming in. Once again, Chris Shrout, city manager at the city of Jinx, definitely a booming community down there and just growing bigger, and you're playing a very integral part in that, so thank you for the work that you do. If you want to get involved with Up With Trees, of course, like or share this video with 5 of your friends and get the message out about what's happening here and the power of this mission and this vision. You could also visit upwithtrees.org if you want to get involved and help make communities just like Jinx a much better place.
Thank you for tuning in to the virtual Up With Trees Greenleaf Non-Gala. The work we do could not be possible without the generous support of volunteers like you. Don't forget to like and share this video with 5 of your friends. Up With Trees, providing a more beautiful future today.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm joined now by Ken Busby, Executive Director and CEO of the Route 66 Alliance. And Ken, I would go through your resume, but sorry, Fred, we don't have the time.
Yeah, that would take about all of our time because
I'm
that old. Yeah, I get you.
But to sum it up, you are known as the cultural czar of Tulsa. Okay, so like, what does that mean? How do you identify that?
You don't have to kiss my ring unless I'm carrying my orb and scepter, if that helps you understand anything. Yeah. Other than that, the moniker of Cultural Czar came about when I left the Arts and Humanities Council of Tulsa, and Jim Watts at the Tulsa World wrote this really nice article and said, Ken truly is Tulsa's Cultural Czar. And so I've kept that moniker because it allows me to get involved with organizations like Up With Trees, things that I'm passionate about, in addition to doing my day job with the Route 66 Alliance. So I use the Cultural Czar to just do whatever needs to be done to help advance Tulsa in any way that I can.
And so tourism obviously is your sweet spot there. So if I'm coming to a city and I see trees. What does that mean for me as a tourist coming into the city to see trees?
I think it means everything because trees are so welcoming. When I go to a city and I see lots of trees around, especially well-kept trees, but when you see those, you really think it's about a community that cares, a community that's environmentally friendly and focused, and it's a welcoming badge for the city.
Where do you see the city going, and how do trees play a part in that future and in that vision?
Right, so all the people that we have here now, I look at Tulsa and those people that are involved in our city right now as brand ambassadors. We're selling who we are and the vision of who we want to be. I think our future becomes really focused not only on things that I'm passionate about, like Route 66 and so forth, but it's that whole mechanism of how do we sell our community and make people really excited to be a part of what we're doing here. And it's that enthusiasm that we share that make people want to be here. And you think about other programs like Tulsa Remote and things that are bringing people to this community. Once you get people here, people love Tulsa. It's just that first initial, oh, Oklahoma, really? Where is that?
That was me when I was like, why would I move to Oklahoma?
Oh, right. And then when you get to Tulsa, it's like, oh, now I get it. And that's our whole thing about, from a tourist standpoint and so forth in the future, like, we want to get people here to experience our friendliness, our hospitality, our industries, all the great things that we have going. Our parks and trees add to that quality of life. And once you get here and you see it, it's like, wow, this is Tulsa. And that's the message we're trying to get. Come see us. We're going to be amazing, and you'll be so glad that you're part of what we're doing.
Absolutely. Once again, Ken Busby, Executive Director and CEO of the Route 66 Alliance and cultural czar of Tulsa, somebody who knows a thing or two about attracting folks into this city. And like you said, trees play a surprisingly big part in getting folks here. If you want to get involved specifically with Up With Trees, of course, share this video with 5 of your friends just to get the message out there, get the vision out there. Also, if you want to help and be a part, donate, volunteer, however you want to be involved, that's up to you. But head over to upwithtrees.org to find out how you can be a part of this organization. Since 1976, Up With Trees has been faithful to its mission to beautify Greater Tulsa by planting trees and creating urban forestry awareness through education. We partner with local groups and companies to give Tulsa a landscape that's going to benefit future generations. As community members, it's our duty to ensure Tulsa and surrounding areas are not only beautiful, but also safe and inviting to those who call Oklahoma home. In a time where we're all distanced from each other, our outdoor environment offers the space that we need to come back together. Trees feed more than our lungs. They fill our hearts with hope. And now is the time to invest in our community and grow a healthier and more beautiful future for generations to come. To learn more about how you can volunteer or support Up With Trees through a charitable donation, be sure to visit upwithtrees.org. And from all of us here at Up With Trees, thank you for your support as we plant more and more trees and beautify our city together.